everyone. Welcome to Weekly Weather Brief. I am so glad to be back here with my good friend, meteorologist Kerrin Jeromin. I am meteorologist Emily Gracey coming to you from abroad this week. Kerrin, it's good to see you.
It's so good to see you, and we are twinning hard. We did not plan this. For those watching on YouTube, we are exactly matching today.
Yeah, down to the earbuds, with like the hanging earbuds. We're doing the same thing there.
Everything.
I've had a blast this past month kind of watching who you've brought in for guest hosting. There have been some really like spectacular women filling in. It's been great.
Yes, big thanks. Big thanks. I love it. When we bring more women in, it's more minds, and it's just such a wonderful thing. So we really love to hear from you on this show. So if you're like, hey, I think I'd be a cool guest host, like get in touch with us. We are so for it and would love to meet you or talk with you about the weekly weather events, which we've already burned a minute of, Emily. We try to do this in 10 minutes, but there's so much happening, especially with you being out of country. I can't wait to hear your perspective on, for you, probably more of an exciting thing than it was in the US, but the eclipse this week, the total solar eclipse. I want to hear about your experience being a little closer to it geographically.
Yeah, and I was not, to be clear, in the 100% coverage, so I wasn't in the totality. But the totality was like pretty small. You know, there are places in like Greenland and Iceland and Spain, I think, that had some really good visuals there. But like, I'm in Scotland and it's cloudy all the time here. My hopes were like, my bar was so low because I also did see totality, the 2017 eclipse in South Carolina. I was in totality there and the skies cleared just in time. It was like this magical moment I'll remember for the rest of my life. So yeah, my bar was low, but you know, we did it anyway. We headed out there. Yeah.
So stylish. For those only listening, she's got the solar eclipse glasses on and they are so stylish.
Fortunately, they showed us nothing because the cloud cover is very thick, but still there was a period of time, maybe 10 minutes, where it did get very dim outside and everybody was kind of chatting about it. I'm in Scotland and like this parade of bagpipers came down the street. So very appropriately, there was a celebration. But yeah, it was a little underwhelming. I think my kids unfortunately don't remember the 2017 eclipse. So this is what they're going to remember as far as an eclipse. And they're not going to remember much. They're going to remember that we were in Scotland and that maybe it got a little bit dark for a period of time, but yeah, there were some great pictures. I was more impressed by some of the pictures I saw that came out of like Spain and Iceland.
Absolutely.
But also, I always love the satellite imagery where you can see that like ball of dark going across the earth. That's the shadow. We'll link that in our show notes too, so that
absolutely. Yeah, I saw that too, and I'm with you. I saw the 2024 eclipse. I watched it in totality from Burlington, Vermont, and it is such a huge difference to see totality even to 90%. It is such a huge difference. So I feel like we're a little spoiled, and probably why it didn't make a big splash in the U.S. because we didn't have totality here this year. It was like there's an eclipse. There's a little bite out of the sun. I don't have time for that. Like a lot of people didn't make a huge deal out of it here in the US. So it's cool, of course, right? Anytime there's some neat celestial event, I like to take a peek, but there is nothing like totality. So if you do get a chance, I believe the next chance is, well, there's one next year in different parts of the world, but for the US, we've got to wait till 2033. Parts of Alaska will see a next total solar eclipse. And then 2044 is another big one that's going to span a lot more of the lower 48. So, you know, if you get to go international and check it out, I think there's some spots in Egypt that might be upcoming next year for you. You can check that out.
And it's not like necessarily directly related to weather, but it kind of is because weather plays such a role. Having clear skies, so really like honing in on the spots that are most likely to be clear. These eclipse chasers, they go all in on that and look at the stats of clear skies in certain areas. So, you know, it's pretty exciting stuff, but can be a huge disappointment if you have put a lot of money and effort and travel into this and it's cloudy.
Sure. Yeah. You only hope for the best. I always wanted to be on a plane to see one. I feel like that'd be a really cool experience to see it out the window.
Yes. And you know, it's funny because during the last one, there were actually airlines that were advertising like, this is the flight that follows in the path. And obviously you can't travel at that same speed at which an eclipse is moving across the earth, but it does follow a little bit, like it slows it down a little bit. And they do see, you know, good visuals. I just wonder, like, which side of the plane? And does everybody get up and move over to those windows?
Everybody's like, yo, it's a plane.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, that would be a cool experience. But
yeah. Okay. So that was a big talker this week. I think just internationally because it was such a cool event that so many parts of the world got to experience. Back here at home, Emily, I know you've been a little out of touch, so there were some
fill me in, Kerrin. What's going on?
Yeah, pretty wild things going on this week. Some big wind makers, a lot of really strong thunderstorms. There was we'll say, unofficial or expected to be called full-blown derecho that happened on Tuesday this week. Hundreds of high wind reports stretching everywhere from Iowa to northern Illinois. Parts of the Chicago area included in that, and Indiana. There were hurricane force winds, some 80 to 100 miles per hour that blew through. The top wind, 99 miles per hour in Gary, Indiana. Does Gary, Indiana mean anything to you? Does it?
It sounds familiar, but yeah, no.
I learned it was the hometown of Michael Jackson. That's the cool thing about Gary, Indiana.
Okay. I thought you were going to say there was like a big weather event there, but that's a different direction. Okay. Well, good. Now I have some cool trivia. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I drove through it once when I was driving cross country, and I think I remember that, but this really solidified it. I was like, oh yes, that is Michael Jackson's hometown. Anyway, so that was a big thing. Extensive tree damage, structural damage, and big, probably one of very expensive weather event to come. I wouldn't be surprised if that was noted maybe as one of the billion-dollar disasters potentially, just because of how widespread the damage was. We'll see how that pans out post-storm analyses and surveys and such. And sadly, there was one death with that as well, which you hate to see. Thunderstorm blew down a tree onto a house and killed a young child, sadly. So very high impact event there. And actually, very nearby, Emily, there were some strong thunderstorms in the Dakotas as well, producing winds over 100 miles per hour. I think 111 was the top wind gust in South Dakota, unrelated to that derecho, but same night, really, Tuesday into Wednesday. Some very damaging thunderstorms and large hail occurred there. So that was probably one of the more significant weather events from a severe perspective this week across the country.
Wow. Yeah, that's all new information to me. Thank you for catching me up on that.
Yes, that's what we're here for.
Internationally, I'm kind of out of touch with what's going on, but something I have kept up with, of course, is tropical weather, because it's like finally there's some activity, and we have not only Atlantic but Central Pacific activity too. So some stuff to talk about there. Cristobal, big deal that it's a name. Not a big deal. It's a tropical system. This thing's already kind of fizzled out. Yeah, not going to impact. Couple of other things out there. The next names on the list for the Atlantic are Dolly and Edward. So those are a couple things to keep an eye on, but way out there at this point.
In the Atlantic, but then Pacific, I think there's a lot more attention there because there's the new tropical storm
Lala. Am I saying this right? Lala. Yes. We have Lala out in the Central Pacific, and hurricane watches in effect for Hawaii. It's been a while since that's happened, like 6 years since we've had that. So definitely noteworthy.
Yeah, definitely. I hope Hawaii is paying attention to Lala, because it went through some names, right? It was potential tropical cyclone, blah, 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 blah. But now that it's officially a tropical storm, it's got the winds and the structure, it is given a name. So that's Lala. And heading toward the Big Island Friday, we'll see impacts into the weekend across the island chain. I'm concerned about the rain with that one, because for those who aren't familiar, Hawaii has a lot of topography. There are some big mountains there, over 13,000 feet. And so that can act as an extra enhancer for rainfall. And when you're talking tropical rain, I mean, the National Hurricane Center is highlighting areas up to 20 inches of rain potentially with this one. So I think that's going to be an issue, mudslides and flooding and such for the Big Island and really all of Hawaii.
Yep.
So yeah, keeping an eye on that for sure this weekend.
Yeah. Well, Kerrin, what else? Anything else before we go?
There's a big Perseid meteor shower. It's one of my favorites of the year. It's the peak of the Perseids this week. It was really the 12th and 13th, but if you're a nighttime sky watcher, that's still active through, I think, it's toward the end of the month. And the reason I know that, Emily, is because this is always my favorite one of the year. You're laughing at me. Why?
No,
Why are you laughing at me?
You're not nerdy at all. Everybody has a favorite meteor shower. It's totally normal.
I do. Well, it's the only one that's like kind of impressive, and it's summer, so like you can sit outside and just get comfy. It's not like a midwinter meteor showers where you're like 2 seconds out there and want to go inside. And it coincides around my birthday, so it's the best one of the year. So there.
What's your birthday?
This weekend.
Happy birthday, Kerrin. Way to sneak that in. I love it.
Thanks. It's a milestone. I'm 21 this year.
Is this the big 4-0?
It is the big 4-0.
Did I just tell everybody your age? I'm older, if that makes you feel any better.
happy decade to me, I suppose. Bringing it on with open arms.
I know you're 5 hours behind me, but cheers to you, Kerrin. And
Cheers.
birthday.
Thank you so much. I'll have something better for the birthday, hopefully, as I celebrate with the fam. Emily, as always, great to see you this week. And once you're back in the States, we'll really do a full dive in for everyone listening. We appreciate you. As a reminder, this is not an all-encompassing of everything that's happening across the country, because neither of us do this full-time for a living, but we are former broadcast meteorologists and still just love to keep up with it. So if you see something, we'd really like you to let us know, like, hey, this crazy thing happened in my area. Let us know, flag it for us, and we'll start talking about it on the show. We appreciate your input. And Emily, safe travels back to the States, my friend.
Thanks. Have a wonderful birthday, Kerrin. Good to see you.
You too. Bye, everyone.